Life transformation doesn't happen by accident. That is a truth we must grip with both hands. Too often, we move through life like leaves blown about by the wind, believing that somehow, by some chance or luck, we will stumble into a better version of ourselves. We entertain this idea that growth just happens to us, that maturity is automatic with the passing of time, that wisdom simply comes with age, but it does not. Growth is not a passive process. It is a battle. It is a war. It is the result of 1,000 intentional choices made when no one is watching, when the heart is weary, and when everything inside of you cries out to quit. We live in a world obsessed with shortcuts. Everywhere you turn, someone is offering you a quick path to success, an effortless system to change your life overnight. But anything gained easily is also lost easily. Anything built without effort will crumble at the first tremor. Real transformation, the kind that shakes the very roots of who you are, requires far more than good intentions. It demands that you wake up every day and set your hands to the plow, even when you don't see immediate fruit. It demands that you sow seeds in the soil of your soul, trusting that though you may not see the harvest today or tomorrow, the harvest will surely come for those who do not give up. Change is not accidental because everything in life is pushing you in the opposite direction. The world, the flesh, and the enemy are all conspiring to keep you stagnant, distracted, and numb. If you do not fight to move forward, you will slide backward without even realizing it. Drift is real. Decay is real. If you are not pursuing transformation intentionally, you are being shaped unintentionally and not for the better. It is easy to slip into bitterness. It is easy to drift into laziness. It is easy to fall into apathy. Those things require no effort at all, but to become disciplined, to become compassionate, to become strong and wise, that is war, and it is a war that must be fought daily. When you look at someone whose life is marked by deep character, resilience, and beauty, understand this: it did not happen by accident. It was not given to them for free. It was built day by day, choice by choice, often through pain and tears and silence. They chose the hard right over the easy wrong. They chose to get back up when it would have been easier to stay down. They chose to believe when everything in them screamed with doubt. They chose to keep sowing good even when evil seemed to win. Every moment of transformation was the result of a deliberate decision to stand, to keep standing, to trust in something greater than themselves. The reason life transformation cannot be accidental is because of the nature of the human heart. We are not naturally bent toward growth. We are bent toward comfort. Left to ourselves, we will choose what is easy, what is convenient, what requires the least from us. True transformation demands that we swim against the current of our natural inclinations. It calls us to die to ourselves, to lay down the smallness of our own selfish desires for the sake of a greater, eternal purpose. No one drifts into holiness. No one stumbles into strength. These things are seized by those who are willing to be broken and remade. There will be days when the work feels pointless. There will be seasons when you cannot see any change. There will be moments when it feels like everyone else is sprinting forward while you are trudging through mud. In those moments, you must remember, life transformation is like the hidden growth of a tree. Roots push down before branches stretch upward. The most important growth is unseen, buried deep beneath the surface. And just because you cannot see the fruit today does not mean that the work is in vain. Every small act of obedience, every hidden sacrifice, every unseen choice to do what is right, it is building something. Something strong, something unshakable. If you believe that transformation will happen without your effort, you will live a life of frustration. You will wonder why others seem to be growing while you feel stuck. You will blame circumstances, blame people, blame anything but yourself. And the tragedy is, you will waste the very life you were given to steward. But if you understand that transformation is something you must fight for, something you must nurture, protect, and cultivate, then, even in your failures, you will find hope. Even in your weakness, you will see progress. Because you will know that every small step matters. Every choice to keep going, when giving up would be easier, is a victory. Life transformation requires a vision greater than yourself. If your only motivation is self-improvement for the sake of pride, you will burn out. If you only want to change so that others will admire you, you will crumble under the weight of disappointment. True transformation is born out of a desire to be who you were created to be, not for your glory, but for the glory of the one who made you. It is a long obedience in the same direction. It is daily picking up your cross. It is setting your heart on things above, not on the fleeting applause of men. It is a hard road. It is a narrow road, and few will choose it, but it is the only road that leads to life, the only road that leads to true joy, true peace, true strength. You will not find it by accident. You must choose it. You must fight for it. You must be willing to lose your old life so that you can gain something infinitely better. Not ease, not comfort, but purpose. A purpose that can carry you through every storm and trial. So hear me when I say this. If you are waiting for transformation to just happen, to you will wait a lifetime and leave this earth unchanged. But if you wake up today and every day after and set your heart toward the hard, faithful work of becoming who you were meant to be, then even the smallest of beginnings can grow into something that echoes into eternity. Small habits, rooted in discipline and truth, are the quiet architects of a transformed life. They do not shout. They do not seek attention. They work beneath the surface, hidden from the eyes of most, building a foundation that one day will bear the weight of something far greater than what is seen. We live in a world that celebrates the spectacular, the dramatic, the sudden. But the greatest victories in life are not won in a single moment of glory. They are the result of countless small decisions made when no one is looking, day after day, when no one is clapping for you, and no one is there to notice. There is something deceptively simple about small habits. Because they seem so insignificant, we are tempted to despise them. What difference, we think, could 5 minutes of reflection make? What change could come from one act of kindness? What power could there be in one moment of restraint, one prayer, one page read, one temptation resisted? And yet, that is exactly where the battle is won. You are not shaped by the few big moments of your life. You are shaped by what you consistently do in the unseen hours. Your character is not forged in a moment of crisis. It is revealed there. It is built long before, in the daily, unseen choices that either strengthen you or hollow you out. Discipline is the hand that plants seeds in the soil of the soul, seeds that may not bear fruit immediately, but in time will yield a harvest beyond what you could imagine. And discipline is not about cold, mechanical effort. It is not about striving in your own strength, as if by sheer willpower you could save yourself. Discipline is about ordering your life around what is true. It is about aligning your actions, your habits, your patterns of living with the reality of what matters most. You see, the world will tell you to follow your feelings, but feelings are fickle. They rise and fall like the tides. Discipline says, I will act not according to what I feel, but according to what is true, what is right, what is good, whether I feel it or not. When small habits are rooted in truth, they become anchors for your soul. They tether you to something unchanging in a world that is constantly shifting. They train your heart to value what is eternal rather than what is temporary. They sharpen your mind to recognize the lies that whisper, just this once won't matter, or you'll start tomorrow, or it's too small to make a difference. The person who has cultivated small, disciplined habits knows that every choice is shaping them into something, someone. Every act of discipline is an act of becoming. Every act of compromise is an act of undoing. One of the greatest dangers is believing that we will rise to the occasion when it matters most. That somehow, without preparation, without training, without forming ourselves through discipline, we will have the strength to stand when the winds blow and the storms rage. But the truth is, you do not rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your training. If you have not built a life of small, faithful obedience, you will not magically find courage when fear comes. You will not suddenly walk in integrity when temptation calls. You will not spontaneously love sacrificially when it costs you everything. These are habits forged over years, hammered into your character through daily acts of faithfulness. There is an old saying, sow a thought, reap an action, sow an action, reap a habit, sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. Everything begins with the seemingly small, a thought allowed to take root, an action repeated, a habit formed. Before you know it, you have become someone for better or for worse. That is why it matters what you do with your mornings. It matters what you do when you are tired. It matters how you speak when no one important is listening. It matters how you treat the least and the unnoticed. Because these small things are not small at all. They are the chisels shaping the sculpture of your soul. The truth also grounds discipline in something far deeper than mere self-improvement. You are not forming habits just to be better, to be stronger, to be more successful in the eyes of others. You are forming habits because you have been called to walk in a manner worthy of your calling. You have been created for a purpose beyond yourself. Discipline is not about earning anything. It is about living in response to a truth greater than your circumstances and stronger than your desires. It is about ordering your life according to what is ultimately real. Some days the work will feel invisible. You will read the page, pray the prayer, resist the temptation, and it will feel like nothing is changing. But the seed planted in hiddenness is still alive. It is still growing, and one day, when the storms come and the winds rage, you will not be uprooted. Not because you suddenly became strong in a moment, but because you were growing strong in every moment no one saw. If you look at those whose lives you admire, those whose lives seem solid and steady and full of quiet power, understand this: they were not born that way. They chose small, unseen acts of faithfulness again and again. They chose to do the right thing when it was hard, and no one was rewarding them for it. They chose discipline over ease, truth over comfort, perseverance over immediate gratification. Every strong, steady life you see is the fruit of long seasons of silent, faithful labor. And the beautiful thing is, no one is excluded from this process. It does not matter where you begin. It does not matter how broken or scattered your life has been. It does not matter how often you have failed before. If you will begin today, not tomorrow, not when you feel like it, but today to root your habits in discipline and truth, you can be changed. You can become someone whose life is marked by strength, wisdom, and beauty, not because you made one grand gesture, but because you made 1,000 small, unseen choices to live differently. The path is narrow. It is not easy, it will cost you, but it is worth everything it demands of you, because in the end you are not just changing what you do, you are changing who you are becoming. True change requires humility. Not talent, not ambition, not even sheer effort alone. It begins and ends with a heart that is willing to admit its need. A heart that has been stripped of its pride, its defenses, its desperate attempts to pretend. You cannot truly change if you still believe you are enough in yourself. You cannot grow if you are still clinging to the illusion that you have no need to grow. Real transformation starts when you come face to face with the reality that you are broken, and that no amount of striving can heal you unless you are willing to bow low and be remade. Pride will fight this with everything it has. Pride will tell you that you are fine just the way you are. Pride will whisper that others are the problem, not you. Pride will convince you to compare yourself to those who seem worse off so you can excuse your own condition. But humility is the door through which all lasting change must pass. Humility does not look outward to compare. It looks inward and upward to confess. It says, I am not who I should be. I am not the standard. I have fallen short, and I cannot save myself. Without that confession, without that breaking, there can be no real movement forward. Everything else is just surface, level polish, an attempt to look better without being better. Humility is painful because it strips away our excuses. It forces us to stop blaming our circumstances, our upbringing, the people around us. It shines a light on the uncomfortable truth that no matter how much we have been wronged or wounded, there is still something inside of us that must be dealt with. Humility does not allow you to play the victim forever. It calls you to own your life, to own your heart, to own your choices. And that is terrifying, because it removes every crutch we have leaned on. But it is also freeing, because once you are no longer defending yourself, you are finally free to be changed. There is a reason that brokenness always precedes transformation. It is because the proud heart cannot be molded. It is rigid, resistant, hardened. It can only be shattered, and once it is shattered, once the walls have come down, there is space for something new to be built. Not a facade, not a prettier version of the old self, but something entirely new, something real, something lasting. The humble heart says, I cannot fix myself. I need grace. I need help. I need truth to do in me what I cannot do on my own. That is where the journey truly begins. The world hates this kind of humility. It is offensive to the self-made man. It is foolishness to those who worship strength and success. But it is the only soil in which true change can grow, because humility removes the barriers to learning. It makes you teachable. It makes you willing to listen, to receive correction, to admit when you are wrong. It breaks the chains of defensiveness and pride that keep you trapped in old patterns. You cannot learn what you think you already know. You cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge is sick. You cannot be remade while you are still clutching the broken pieces and pretending they are whole. Every great movement of growth in a person's life begins with the simple, brutal, beautiful moment when they fall on their knees and say, I need more than what I have. I need to become more than who I am. And not in a prideful, self-exalting way, but in a desperate, honest recognition that something must change, and it must start with me. Humility levels the ground. It removes the illusion of superiority. It silences the need to prove yourself. It brings you to the place where you can finally say, I am not enough on my own, and that's okay. Because there is something greater at work if I am willing to surrender. There is something powerful that happens when you stop trying to manage your image and start dealing with your reality. When you stop caring more about what others think of you and start caring about what is actually true of you. Humility dares you to face the mirror without filters, without pretense. It asks you to stand still long enough to hear the convicting, cleansing voice of truth. And it is in that stillness, that surrender, that the real work can begin. You are not changed by more effort. You are changed by deeper surrender. The most dangerous person is not the one who has many flaws. It is the one who refuses to admit they have any. The humble person may fall, but they rise again because they know they must. They do not waste time justifying their fall or pretending it didn't happen. They confess it, they grieve it, they learn from it, and they move forward. Pride keeps you stuck. Humility moves you on. Pride says, I'm fine. Humility says, I need help. Pride defends. Humility grows. Pride is brittle and shatters easily. Humility is soft enough to bend and strong enough to endure. You cannot fake humility. You cannot manufacture it on the surface while keeping pride alive beneath. Real humility is not about putting yourself down or thinking less of yourself. It is simply thinking of yourself rightly. It is seeing yourself with clear eyes the good, the bad, the ugly, and not turning away. It is agreeing with the truth about who you are, where you are, and what you need. It is the refusal to pretend, and because of that, it is the most courageous thing you can do. We are often tempted to chase after change without first cultivating humility, and that is why so many attempts fail. We try to stack new behaviors on top of an old, stubborn heart. We try to add new habits without removing the rotting foundation beneath. And when it collapses, we are surprised. But the collapse is mercy, because it shows us that what we need is not just a little tweaking around the edges. We need transformation that begins at the core, and that only happens through humility. Humility teaches you to expect difficulty. It prepares you for the long road. It reminds you that failure is part of the process, not a reason to quit. It strengthens you to endure correction, to persevere when growth feels slow, to rejoice in the victories of others without jealousy. Humility is not weakness, it is strength under control. It is the willingness to be small so that something greater can rise up within you. It is the open hand, the bowed head, the surrendered will. And this surrender is not a one-time act. It is a daily choice. It is the continual laying down of pride, the continual choosing to be honest before God and before others. It is waking up every morning and saying, "Today I choose humility. Today I choose truth over image. Today I choose growth over comfort." And in that daily choosing, real change, deep, lasting soul. Deep change becomes not only possible but inevitable. The world offers easy paths everywhere you look. There's no shortage of shortcuts, no lack of smooth, paved roads that promise comfort, instant results, and minimal sacrifice. The world will call out to you from every corner, whispering sweet lies into your ears, convincing you that you can have greatness without pain, character without cost, purpose without perseverance. It will tell you that you deserve to feel good right now, that you should avoid hardship at all costs, that the easy way is the better way, and many listen, many follow. Many waste their lives chasing mirages because the road was wide, and the crowd was large, and the effort was small. But true greatness demands the hard. It demands a path that most will never choose, a path that is narrow, steep, and often lonely. It requires more of you than you think you have. It will press you, stretch you, refine you, and sometimes it will break you before it builds you. And that is precisely the point. Greatness is not stumbled upon. It is not inherited through mere wishes. It is forged in the furnace of difficulty, through long obedience in the same direction, through countless decisions to take the harder road when the easier one is calling your name. The easy paths will tell you that your feelings are the highest authority, that if something is hard, it must not be right. But greatness knows that feelings are fleeting and truth is unchanging. The hard road will often feel wrong because it costs you comfort, it costs you popularity, it costs you quick satisfaction, but it is the only road that leads anywhere worth going. The easy path is crowded, but it leads to emptiness. The hard path is often walked alone, but it leads to life, to impact, to a strength and a depth that cannot be imitated or bought. You cannot microwave greatness. You cannot purchase it with convenience. You must walk it out, step by agonizing step, and every step costs you something: pride, selfishness, laziness, fear. The world will tell you that these things are treasures to be protected. The path to greatness will strip them from you one by one until all that is left is something pure, something unshakable, something real. The easy path tells you to avoid risk, play it safe, stay in the line. Don't rock the boat, but greatness is not born in safety. It is born in stepping out when others shrink back. It is found in risking failure, risking pain, risking your reputation for the sake of something bigger than yourself. The easy path prizes acceptance and applause. The hard path often looks foolish to the crowd, but the approval of the crowd is a fickle, hollow reward. Greatness seeks something higher. It seeks to live for what is true, even when the world mocks it. If you want an easy life, you can have it. The world is more than ready to accommodate you. It will numb you with endless entertainment. It will fill your hands with cheap trophies. It will stroke your ego and keep you distracted. But you will wake up one day and realize that you have built nothing that lasts, that your soul is hollow, that you traded what could have been for what was easy. If you want a life that matters, a life that leaves a mark beyond your own brief existence, you must choose the hard path. You must be willing to do the unseen work when no one is watching. You must train when others are sleeping. You must study when others are scrolling. You must show up day after day when motivation is gone, when inspiration has dried up, when all you have left is grit and a vision that only you can see. True greatness demands perseverance. It demands patience. It demands the courage to endure seasons of silence, seasons of obscurity, seasons when it seems like nothing is happening, when the world laughs at your discipline and your sacrifice. But if you endure, if you press on when it would be easier to quit, you will find that you are becoming someone who can bear the weight of greatness without it crushing you. The world promises quick rewards, but it cannot give you what matters most. It cannot give you wisdom. It cannot give you integrity. It cannot give you the kind of resilience that can weather storms without collapsing. These things are only forged on the hard path, through trials and failures, through lessons learned the painful way. Greatness is not simply about achieving something impressive. It is about becoming someone who is unshakable, someone whose life points to something beyond themselves. The easy path will always try to lure you back. Every step you take on the hard road will be met with temptations to turn around, to sit down, to settle for less. There will be moments when quitting looks noble, when compromise seems wise. But remember, you are not walking the hard road for the sake of hardship itself. You are walking it because you know there is a prize that cannot be found on any other path. The easy life offers you comfort now and regret later. The hard path offers you struggle now and a crown that does not fade. Many start strong, but few finish well. It is not enough to begin with passion. You must continue with endurance. It is not enough to have dreams. You must have the discipline to keep walking when the dream feels distant. True greatness demands that you refuse to measure success by how you feel in the moment. It demands that you fix your eyes on something higher than ease, higher than approval, higher than your own comfort. You will fall along the way. You will stumble and fail and feel the sting of your own weakness. But greatness is not defined by never falling. It is defined by what you do after you fall. Will you get up? Will you keep going? Will you learn from it, grow from it, let it shape you into someone who cannot be defeated by failure? Every scar you carry from the hard road becomes part of your strength. Every wound that heals teaches you something the easy life never could. The world does not celebrate the hard path because it does not understand it. It exalts those who rise quickly, who succeed easily, who appear flawless. But that kind of success is brittle and short-lived. It crumbles under pressure. True greatness stands the test of time because it was not built on appearance but on substance. It was built through blood, sweat, and tears shed in the hidden places where no one was applauding. You must decide what you want from your life. You must choose whether you will settle for what is easy or strive for what is hard but glorious. You cannot have both. You cannot live for comfort and expect to find greatness at the end of it. You must be willing to walk where few are willing to walk, to endure what few are willing to endure, to believe when others doubt, to fight when others surrender. And in the end, when you have walked the hard road and paid the price, you will not regret it. You will not wish you had taken the easy path, because the hard road does not just change your circumstances, it changes you. It makes you into the kind of person who can carry the weight of true greatness, not for your own glory, but for the sake of a world that desperately needs people who chose the hard and became truly great. Power is found not in the grand gestures, not in the thunderous speeches, not in the dramatic moments that catch the world's attention. True power is something quieter, something deeper, something that is built far from the spotlights and applause. We are often deceived into thinking that greatness looks like sudden explosions of brilliance, like once in a lifetime moments where someone steps onto a stage and changes everything in an instant. But that is not where real power lies. Real power is born in the unseen moments, in the quiet disciplines, in the steadfast commitments that no one claps for and no one even notices. The world is addicted to spectacles. It craves the impressive, the dramatic, the viral. It measures strength by the size of the audience, the volume of the noise, the scale of the impact. But that is a shallow kind of power. It burns hot and fast, but it cannot endure. It cannot sustain. It crumbles the moment the applause fades, the moment the pressure rises, the moment the hype dies down. True power is not so easily moved. It is not rooted in moments but in character. It is not forged in flashes of brilliance but in years of unseen faithfulness. The grand gestures are easy compared to the daily grind of staying faithful. Anyone can make a bold move when the cameras are rolling and the stakes are clear. But how many can keep showing up when no one is watching? How many can keep doing the hard, right thing day after day when it costs them and no one seems to notice? That is where the real strength is revealed. Not in the explosion of a single moment, but in the quiet accumulation of countless unseen choices. True power is found in the man or woman who chooses to forgive when it would be easier to stay bitter. In the one who gets up early to pray, to work, to serve when no one will ever give them a trophy for it. In the parent who loves and disciplines and sacrifices without ever being fully thanked. In the friend who stays loyal when it would be easier to walk away. In the worker who does excellent work even when the boss isn't looking. These are not grand gestures, but they are the things that shape the world. They are the foundation stones of lives that matter. Power is found in consistency, in faithfulness, in endurance. It is built one small act at a time, like bricks laid carefully, patiently, one upon another. Each act seems insignificant in itself, but over time a fortress is built. A fortress that can withstand storms, that can endure betrayal, that can survive seasons of drought and despair. The grand gesture may grab headlines, but it is the quiet, daily sacrifice that builds legacies. You must decide where you will seek your strength. Will you chase after moments that impress others, or will you build a life that is unshakable? Will you pour your energy into being noticed, or will you pour your life into becoming someone who is real and solid, even if the world never sings your praises? The choice matters, because the way you build determines whether you can stand when the storms come. And they will come. Power that is built on grand gestures alone will crumble when the hard times hit. But power that is built on quiet, steady faithfulness will endure. The truth is, the grand gestures are often fueled by pride. They are often about being seen, about being admired, about proving something to the world. But true strength does not need to prove itself. It does not need to be seen to be real. It exists whether anyone notices it or not. It is content to be hidden because it knows that what matters most is not the perception of others, but the reality of the soul. This kind of power cannot be bought. It cannot be faked. It cannot be earned quickly. It must be grown slowly, like a mighty oak that stands firm because it sank its roots deep year after year after year. It is the result of countless choices to do the right thing instead of the easy thing, the hard thing instead of the comfortable thing, the honest thing instead of the popular thing. It is forged in the moments when no one is clapping, when no one is encouraging you, when it feels like it doesn't even matter. But it does matter. Every small act of faithfulness plants a seed, and over time a harvest will come. There is a beauty in this kind of hidden strength. It is not flashy, but it is real. It is not loud, but it is lasting. It is not about winning the approval of the crowd, but about living in integrity before an audience of one. It is a life that can look itself in the mirror without shame. A life that does not have to manufacture appearances or cover up weaknesses because it has been built on truth, on sacrifice, on real substance. The world may never understand this kind of power. It may overlook it, mock it, even despise it. It may continue to chase after the next spectacle, the next sensation, but those who understand where true strength lies will not be swayed. They will not be lured off the path by the glittering promises of easy fame. They will keep doing the small, hard things day after day, year after year, knowing that real change, real impact, real greatness is not measured by the size of the moment, but by the faithfulness of a lifetime. You must not despise the small beginnings. You must not grow weary of the quiet days. You must not lose heart when the world seems to pass you by. Every day you choose to be faithful, you are building something the world cannot take from you. Every time you choose humility over pride, service over selfishness, perseverance over quitting, You are adding another stone to a life that will stand long after the applause has faded. True power is not in the shout, it is in the whisper that refuses to be silenced. It is not in the grand gesture that dazzles for a moment and then fades. It is in the steady hand that builds, the steady heart that endures, the steady spirit that stays the course. If you want to be truly powerful, do not seek to impress. Seek to be faithful, seek to be real, seek to build a life that, whether seen or unseen, is strong enough to weather any storm, faithful enough to finish the race, and true enough to echo in eternity.